Selecting timber crop trees in pole-sized timber stands. Crop tree release is one of the most impactful practices you can perform in your woodlands. Pole-sized timber stands, being those with the majority of trees about 4 to 14 inches in diameter, are great places to begin implementing crop tree release. Your professional forester has prescribed CTR, and one of your goals is timber revenue. Let's ID some timber crop trees. Remember, in general, crop trees need to live at least 20 more years, have a healthy crown, and have at least two sides of their canopy and the top getting full sun. They also need to be vigorous and thus be able to respond nicely to release. The first thing you should consider when selecting crop trees for timber value is the species. Now in Iowa, most tree species do have some potential timber value, but species like white oak and black walnut are at the top. Now, beyond the general crop tree characteristics, things to look for in a timber crop tree include a solid 8 or 16-inch butt log that's free of wounds, disease, decay, large limbs, small limbs, epicormic shoots, or any other kind of wounding or damage. Break the base of the tree up into 4 quadrants or faces. Ideally, that butt log would have 3 or 4 clean faces, and by clean, we mean defect-free. Also, no risk of structural failure or if it's a pain in the neck to harvest that tree in the future. Say it's on the side of a steep ravine. Hey, Aaron Wright, District Forester with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. This looks like one heck of a nice red oak that may be a future timber crop tree. Yeah, it is. There's some things to consider here, though. Well, it looks like we've got at least 16 foot of a butt log, fairly limb-free on the faces we see here. But if we go around back, we see that it has this massive wound going from about 8 foot on down. And that wound is going to significantly decrease its timber value. You also see a number of old limb knots or bulges in the bark. Those knots are going to decrease the value of that wood as well. So, some characteristics good, but there's a lot of bad things here that maybe would knock this out of the timber crop tree category. So this black cherry here, black cherry also a valuable timber species, but there's a lot of things wrong with this that would make it not an ideal timber crop tree. It's crooked, it's got a busted up crown, there's old wounds on the trunk, and check out this basal rot and decay. I can see fruiting bodies of fungus, there's a big hole there, there's a critter living in there. Why don't you stick your hand in there, Aaron? Now this red oak, again, a valuable timber species, but it's got a 3-way kind of split here. And you can see the crotch is a V shape, not a U shape. V-shaped is weak, U-shaped is strong. So that indicates a weak attachment, which means it can easily split with wind or ice or other kind of things that put weight on the canopy. So even though this is a nice species for timber value and the trunks look fairly nice and defect-free, this base is concerning. Now this white oak is a pretty good candidate for a timber crop tree as far as release. This double split here, it's got the U shape, which means it's a strong attachment and it'll be resilient to wind or ice. That's a U. This is a decent red oak, but the butt log splits at about 8 feet, so you're cutting it close for potential timber value. In general, we talk about 8 foot and 16 foot logs. You want to give yourself a couple extra feet, at least 1 extra foot, for any kind of, just to give a little bit of buffer when they're milling and logging. So Aaron, check out this red oak here. Actually very nice, except for one big thing. This limb, which is well under 8 foot in height, is going to really decrease timber value down the road. There's really no correcting for this. It should have been pruned off long ago. So even though this thing has about 16 foot of clear log there at the base, that big knot right there, that big old limb, is going to throw a big defect into the equation. So not the best timber crop tree. Ooh, what do we have here, Aaron? This is a nice pole-sized white oak, but what's up with all these little tiny branches, from 3-4 foot all the way up? Well, Billy, these are epicormic branches. What is that? That's when hidden buds activate and form smaller branches up and down the length of the stem. These epicormic branches will decrease future timber value. And talk to your forester because certain species in Iowa, like white oak, are very prone to epicormic shoots. So you need to be very careful when releasing them or those epicormic shoots will take off and increase. Ooh, so here we have a really nice pole-sized red oak. So Aaron and I are looking at this. 16, 17 feet on down. There's no major limbs. There's no major defects. 4 clean faces. This looks like a good crop tree to release for timber value. Ooh, we've got a black cherry here. It's got a little bend at the base, but in general, 4 clean faces and fairly defect and limb free up to about 16 foot. Looks like a nice crop tree to release here for timber value. Now this is a nice white oak with at least 16 foot butt log, clear, defect free on all 4 faces, no epicormic shoots, and I'll throw this in too. This white oak also is on the correct site and soils to ensure it has maximum growth. If you've got a high dollar species on a poor site or a site it's not matched to, that might be something to consider to knock it out of the crop tree category. And here we've got the top. Per volume, the most valuable species in Iowa, black walnut. So Aaron and I here are checking out the bottom 17 feet. So we've got about 16, 17 feet of clear butt log, defect free, 4 clean faces, and it's on the right site. Very cool chocolate brown bark as you flake it off, indicative of its coveted heartwood color. This looks like a winner. Now that's a friendly tree. Selecting timber crop trees in pole-sized stands. We'll see you in the woods.